Hello, I'm Justin Prince. This is my informative speech on Jiu Jitsu. My audience. Here's a quote by Saulo Ribeiro from his book, Jiu Jitsu University. If you think you are late, if you are late, you use strength. If you use strength, you tire. And if you tire, you die. One of the things I think Ribeiro is trying to get at here is the concept of muscle memory and being able to react off of what your opponent feeds to you. It's kind of the basis of what Jiu-Jitsu is, self-defense, but having that upper hand, having that leverage to subdue your opponent. Jiu-Jitsu, kind of in translation, stands for gentle art. It kind of gets a name because there's really no real striking involved with Jiu-Jitsu. It's more of a submission, grappling, and a ground game where you're not necessarily looking to harm your opponent, but to either subdue them or just defend yourself, basically. Jiu-Jitsu kind of goes a lot of different ways as far as its history goes. It can be found in many places around the world. I think one of the most common theories of its origination point is in North India, where there was a group of Buddhist monks who, they would live their life, but they would be constantly overcome by bandits in the area, and they had to find a way to protect themselves, being that it was against their religion to use weapons. So they needed to find a way to use hand-to-hand combat or self-defense tactics to basically protect themselves. The reason they could do this, they had a very high understanding of the human body and how it worked. So they were able to apply different techniques such as leverage, momentum, balance, center of gravity, friction, and weight transmission to manipulate their body and use the stronger opponent's strength and speed against them. The year that this took place, that they can try to date it back to, is about 356 to 323 BC. So it was quite a while ago, and it's been around for that long. Eventually, I think these concepts kind of move on, people coming through the area, and eventually made its way to Japan. It was kind of adopted there, and eventually there was a student named Mietsu Maeda, and he was one of the great Japanese jiu-jitsu fighters at the time, and he had many fights and was undefeated. So he eventually moved into Brazil in an immigration colony and met up with Gustavo Gracie, popular name in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and he taught Carlos Gracie while he was there through a business transaction, and Carlos trained with him for quite a few years and decided that he wanted to excel in this, and he opened up his own academy where he taught his brothers. And Helio Gracie, his youngest brother, was 14 at the time. And he was a frailer guy. He wasn't big and strong. He was probably weak, and he had fainting spells that nobody really knew why. So a lot of times during the class sessions, he would kind of be off in the background watching. And one day when Carlos was gone, he decided to jump in and take over the class. And with his knowledge now that he's been watching it and his weaker structure, he was able to use a lot of the techniques that he had, but adapt them for his own physical size and use leverage against his opponents, and people were blown away by it. They liked it. So when Carlos came back, they told him that they want Helio to teach, because he had these different ideas on how to do things and different ways to do it. So that's what he did. Helio kind of got that name as being the grand master of it, because he was able to excel at a different level than everybody else because of his size. with Jiu-Jitsu, they kind of developed this belt structure, which consists of 5 belts. You have the white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, and black. First one being the white belt. That's where you're going to learn the fundamentals of Jiu-Jitsu. It's basically learning to survive. You know, everybody around you is going to be maybe more advanced when you're just beginning, but it's learning how to survive, how to overcome everything. You're learning the fundamentals, yet you're learning to be able to defend yourself. From there, you move on to the blue belt. Here, you know the fundamentals now, and you're just going to start making them your own, adapting to what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You know, if your body size is going to come into play when you up against somebody that's maybe bigger or not as big. If you're short or tall, you're going to start developing ways that work for you as a blue belt. At this stage, you're going to be at the longest level because you're learning your own ways of doing it. So you're going to be there for quite a while. After you get past the blue belt, you move to the purple belt. From here, you're cinching down everything that you've worked on. You're tightening up your game. You're getting faster. You're getting smarter. You're able to move faster. You're teaching the blue belts below you what mistakes they're making, but you're also learning from a brown belt what you can do better. Once you get to that brown belt level, you're really starting to refine your technique. It's the middle of the road, but you're polishing everything that you have. And you're going to be there for quite a while. You're learning from the black belts above you. Once you get to the black belt, this is the expert stage. You know, you know a lot, and you're constantly going up at people at their top of their game. So you're going to really hit that competition level and need to excel at what you do. Some of the lineage that you can get from Jiu-Jitsu, it kind of starts with Maeda, but it moved to Carlos Gracie Sr. From there, it moved to Carlos Gracie Jr. But it can split off so many different ways as far as Haleo or Renzi, a lot of the Gracie brothers. When it came to America, you can imagine the branch moving out. Examples, Amal Easton, George Anders, which is the instructor at Fargo Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Fargo, North Dakota. A couple of quick submissions that you'll find in Jiu-Jitsu. From the back, you can do the bow and arrow choke. From the mount, you can do a collar choke. Side control, a kimura. Or from the guard, a triangle choke. Any questions?
What are you?
I'm a blue belt currently. Yeah.
How long have you been studying?
About 3 years.
How much longer do you think you have till the purple belt?
Quite a while. Yeah. Takes a while, a lot to learn. Okay. Thank you.